Mr Hatch, of the Royal Commission, which deals with certain events at the Bangaroo construction site in July 2014 involving several officials of the New South Wales branch of the CFMEU, including Brian Parker and Mr Luke Collier, who we discussed earlier today. In particular, I refer you to the following conduct engaged in by Mr Collier as documented by the Royal Commission interim report. He abused a female FWBC staff member as an effing slut. He used a megaphone to broadcast the name of the telephone number of a male FWBC staff member in front of over 100 CFMEU members, encouraged them to call his phone number. He further said to the staff member, "You think all I got is your phone number?" He used a megaphone to blast a whaler sound centimetres away from the ears of the FWBC staff, and he spat at an FWBC staff member and said in a menacing voice, called them an effing dog. Is this the conduct that prompted the FWBC to apply to the Fair Work Commission to have Mr Collier's right of entry permit revoked?
That's correct.
But it wasn't revoked, was it? It was only suspended, as we heard this morning from Justice Ross.
Suspended, yes.
Only suspended.
For 12 months.
And, well, apparently he'll be able to
automatically
have that reinstated after the 12 months suspension, despite because the permit goes forward. But I'll leave that with you to look at.
There are other matters that we have in mind for Mr Collier, which will go back before the Commission in due course.
Senator
Thank you,
Cameron's
Mr
very
Hatch.
quiet about Mr Collier at this hearing.
Are you familiar with the evidence of FWBC staff members to the Royal Commission who were subjected to Mr Collier's conduct, who testified that they sensed hatred in his voice and immediately became concerned for their physical safety, that Mr Collier's behaviour, and I quote, "clearly an attempt to intimidate and scare us due to the level of aggression he was showing"? You familiar with that evidence?
That was the evidence given, Chair.
It's a criminal offence to hinder, obstruct and intimidate Commonwealth public officials going about their work, isn't it?
It is, Chair.
And would you construe this type of behaviour by Mr Collier?
The matter has been referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions.
I refer to the media release issued by FWBC on the 6th of February this year entitled "CFMEU's Luke Collier has entry permit suspended for 12 months. And the release goes on to state fraud, dishonesty, that it's an offence. He'd been convicted of offence involving entry into premises, fraud or dishonesty, or intentional use of violence against another person, or intentional damage or destruction of property. Can I clarify that the grounds on which your agency challenged his right of entry permit was that he had not declared relevant convictions?
That's...
As I understand it, was 3 or 4?
Yes, that's correct. They were the basis of the application, and the basis of the order that was made following a meeting under Justice Bolton was that the allegations made against Mr Collier were accepted.
And what were those 3 allegations?
First of all, that Mr Collier was convicted of recklessly causing injury and criminal damage with a community-based order being imposed. He was then alleged to have failed to comply with the community-based order. In 2007, he was convicted of theft and going equipped to steal, and that matter was in the Heidelberg Magistrates Court, and that false declarations were accordingly made when in 2013 the application for a permit, the application was made and the permit was granted in June 2013.
So when Mr Collier was represented at the proceeding before the Fair Work Commission, was he represented by the CFMEU?
He was represented by counsel, as I understand it.
Thank you. At Senate estimates on 23rd of October, Senator Cameron showed an inordinate interest in Mr Collier. He asked you 61 questions defending the interests of Mr Collier. Do you recall a written question on notice filed by Senator Cameron asking you how you became aware of Mr Collier's criminal history?
I am, Chair. I am.
You are? What was your response to this question?
We obtained the information pursuant to the, I think, Section 8 of the Federal Police Act, whereby they can, upon request of a government or foreign agency hand over a criminal history as long as it is pursuant to the investigation of an offence against the Commonwealth of a state.
So no issues of privacy there that Senator Cameron pursued for 30 minutes or more.
And 61 questions. In addition to the abuse and intimidation of Mr Collier that I previously outlined, are you familiar with the further abuse when he abused one of your staff on the basis of his former occupation, when, according to the evidence provided to the Royal Commission, Mr Collier said, and I quote, "It can't be that hard to get a job with the FWBC, even if you were a transit officer," referring to one of your staff's
that's why we want to
immediate previous
find out
occupations,
prior
or maybe it was a
occupations.
previous
That's
occupation.
why Senator Cameron was
Can you
brought in here.
confirm
That's correct.
that one of your staff was abused by Mr Collier on the basis of his previous work, and was this partly responsible for your particular response to the question on notice that we spent a large proportion of Senator Cameron's time today in this area discussing?
Yes, Chair.